I'm Michael Powers.
And I'm Jeanne.
And I'm a founder partner of Stellar Solar. And I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and she's from the Midwest also.
We met at a party and had so many things in common that we just kind of hit it off.
The rest is history. So I moved to San Diego about 26 years ago in order to support a nonprofit group that's based here, Global Energy Network Institute, GENI. I've been on the board for GENI for probably close to 15 years now. And so I moved from Florida to support them.
And I've been in San Diego since 1988. So at that time, I was in the TV news business. Now I am working for a hospice.
When I moved to San Diego to support GENI, I really was just trying to get a job in marketing somewhere. I wound up working for a company called Maintenance Warehouse, which 3 years later, it was bought out by Home Depot, and so it became a subsidiary of Home Depot, which turned out to be very useful a few years after that. Well, I'd always been interested in renewable energy, but it was mostly a hobby, and the interest in the GENI group because they're really working in alternative energy. But I got seriously interested in doing solar when Enron was doing these terrible things to the grid in California, and electricity prices were going out of sight. People were going out of business because they couldn't pay their power bill anymore. And I was able to convince Home Depot at that time that it might be a good idea to try to see if we could sell solar panel installations through the Home Depot stores. And so we successfully started the Home Depot solar program at that time, right around 2001. And that's what led me to be in the solar business, leaving Home Depot and going to work for a solar panel company and eventually becoming in the installation company that we are today. The thing that's so interesting about being in the renewable energy business is that things are changing so quickly that you really have to stay on top of it and do a lot of research, probably more than we would normally need to know in our business. But the other part of that is really walking the walk and trying products that we're going to recommend to customers to make sure that they work right. So when the electric vehicle craze started, I don't know if it's a craze, but when the electric vehicles came on the scene probably about 10 years ago now, or 8 or 10 years ago, we got an electric car. I had a Nissan Leaf for 3 years. And so to find out how that would work so we could recommend that to customers, if you were plugging your solar panels into your house and then running your car off your house, you were essentially running your car off of solar power. So we had a solar powered car for 3 years. I also do a website called Terawatts, which is updated pretty often on Facebook. There's a special, besides our Stellar Solar Facebook page, I also have a Terawatts Facebook page, which really just talks about advances in solar energy and renewable energy. And there's just so much going on right now that it's best, I think, to just keep on top of it. That way it gives me a chance to know what's going on and send it out there to our customers and everybody else who's following, just to try to keep up to speed on it.
So we were living in a condo in University Heights and walking the dog around the neighborhood and came across this open house, and Michael held the dog while I went in just to check it out, and I came out and I said, that's the house of my dreams. And he said, well, I need to see it then. I held the dog, he went in, he came out and he said, we have the same dream. And we ended up buying the house and almost immediately decided to put solar on it.
We knew that was something that we wanted to do. The Home Depot program had just started with solar, and so I was able actually to get up and help do the installation with the guys that were up there. It was a 2-story house, which made it kind of interesting, but we were able to cover the entire south-facing roof with solar. And at that time in North Park, that wasn't really being done. That was really unusual. And when we sold the house last year, the solar was working great. We were able to turn it over to the new owner, show the numbers and how much she would save a month with no electric bill. And she was really happy. It added value to our price. She was willing to pay a little bit more for it. And so even with that sort of track record, it was still working great.
So we had been in a 2-story house, and we really wanted to, it was time to go to a 1-story. And we looked around and found this house, and it just met every one of our ideals.
The best feature of the house is this weeping willow out in front. And at this time of the day, as the sun starts to go down, the sun hits it from the side and it just sort of lights up really bright green. Growing up in the Midwest, they're everywhere, and so it almost was like a little bit of the Midwest when we saw the house. It really met all of our needs, but it didn't have solar yet. And because it had a tile roof and there are quite a bit of trees in the vicinity, as you can see, we really were trying to figure out where the best place would be to put it. The garage is a separate building that has a flat roof, so naturally we wanted to put it on the garage, but the space was limited. And normally what we would do in an installation like that is to tilt all the panels up facing towards the south, and we realized that would produce a lot of solar, but it probably wouldn't be the most elegant design. In other words, it was a little bit of a design problem, but when we took it back to the back shop and had them look through it, our designers were able to recommend a new solution. And this is something we haven't done until very recently. It's a commercial type of racking that allows us to face the panels east and west and has a minimal amount of shading, so we can really close pack and put as many solar panels in a small space as possible. So we're able to get 16 of the solar modules, the SunPower modules, on the flat roof, and it's really been working great. It has a low profile, so it looks good from the street, still has good curb appeal. And I think really that's what our designers do, is to try to figure out what's the best way to produce the most solar power, but also have a good looking product, a good looking house when you're done. And I think they did a really good job with that. We're also using AC SunPower panels, which is sort of the latest trend in solar right now, is to do microinverters. So we don't have an inverter on the side of the house, we have individual microinverters under each panel, and that makes it a little bit cleaner installation. We also can figure out how much each panel is producing, if there's any shading or shadowing.
One of the things we like about this neighborhood and this area is that it's very solar. You, when you look at the hills and all the homes on the hills, you see solar everywhere. So we knew we were in the right place. We do a lot of dog walking and hiking. And we just got a new dog, and so he's
it's a rescue.
He's getting to know the area and the neighborhood, and we're getting to know him. And so that's one of the fun things we like to do.
We're both pretty involved in the church besides Jeanne's hospice work. She's also a staff minister at Vision Center for Spiritual Living, and we've sung in the choir there. I kind of got interested late in life, but some folks talked me into doing it, and it's been like 4 years now singing at the choir, and it's really a lot of fun.